Friends, this video is being brought to you by auspices of the J. Frank Norris Historical Society. I'd like to emphasize to each one who views my videos that what I have to say is not necessarily meant to be the exact words as spoken by J. Frank Norris. But I think that I can say unequivocally, having known the man since 1928, longer, I assume, than any living person, I think I knew pretty well the psychic and his personality, his psychology, his theology, because I sat under his ministry for a number of years and talked to him many times personally. And so this video I have entitled, "There is More to the Story Than Just Praise and Worship." And let me, by way of introduction, give you a brief summary of what I'm talking about. And I believe this would indeed reflect the thoughts of J. Frank Norris. The services in which he was the leader of the great First Baptist Church was always carried on in a manner in which the exaltation of Christ was foremost, and the enthusiasm that wore off on the congregation created a spirit of perennial revival, something that is missing today in many of the modern churches. And I say this with sadness because it seems that the vitality of churches today and Christendom as a whole has lost much of its vitality, and a lot of it has to do with the songs that are sung in the churches, which are far different from the old-fashioned hymns, in which I remember were sung every Sunday in the First Baptist Church. So if you'll bear with me, I will elaborate further on what I mean by the title that I have given this video, which is, "There is More to the Story Than Just Praise and Worship." And that's sort of a catchword to give you some idea of what I'm talking about. When I was about the age of 14, I prayed the most simple prayer that could possibly be uttered by any human being. And that prayer is the only prayer that God will hear from a sinner before he is born again. I prayed, "Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner." I remember it well at age 14. And I repeat this story over and over so that every person may finally come to the conclusion of the necessity of praying that prayer of submission. It goes without saying that life is fraught with ups and downs insofar as our spiritual understanding is concerned. But as we mature, if our faith is genuine, our understanding of God's will and purpose becomes clearer as the years roll by. And now, at age 91, I can truthfully say that I have a more vivid understanding of how God works, albeit in a mysterious way, than I did at age 14. Needless to say, His presence means more to me now than it did 75 years ago. Now I'm coming to the point of dealing with this phrase, praise and worship, and every person knows what I'm talking about who attends a church that uses contemporary music. So I will try to elaborate the folly of the modern day praise and worship issue. Each day of my life, I say to you emphatically, is an event of praise and worship. And I'm not against praise and worship. But I say again, the great hymns that I've heard in the past explain much better my thoughts, much better than words that I may speak. So I'm going to ask my daughter if she will join me as we sing one of the great hymns of the faith, entitled, I Love to Tell the Story of Jesus and His Love. Listen to these words as we sing. I love to tell the story of unseen things above, of Jesus and His glory, of Jesus and His love. I love to tell the story because I know 'tis true. It satisfies my longings as nothing else can do. I love to tell the story, will be my theme in glory, to tell the old full story of Jesus and His love. So much for my praise and worship. And the expressive words of this song are in essence preparatory to the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. Mine and your praise and worship is meant to equip us spiritually and mentally for facing up to the real battles in life which we encounter each day. And you can be assured, as a Christian, your pathway through the pilgrim's journey will be strewed with enemies you never dreamed of existed. If your praise and worship does not adequately prepare you for the battle, then your praise and worship is lacking real substance. My observation of modern day praise and worship methods are best characterized from the standpoint of its entertainment aspect, more so than having real substance. The battles we face cannot be met by entertainment. We must put on the whole armor of God. And my friends, there is a difference between classic hymns and the contemporary music so popular in many churches today. And I want to illustrate, as you will see in this next hymn. When you hear the trumpet sound, it is time to leave the praise and worship behind, as noble as it may be. And in its place, you must catch the spirit of the long and forgotten story expressed in that wonderful hymn, Onward, Christian Soldiers. And many songbooks today have even omitted that great song from the hymn books. The battle is on, and if you want to finish the story, you will join in the fray and go into the highways and the byways, stand for that which is right, and oppose that which is wrong. Listen to this great song, Onward, Christian Soldiers. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe, forward into battle, seek His banner. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to Then ye people, join our happy throng. Then with our sure voices in the triumph song, glory, Lord, and honor unto Christ the King. This through countless ages men and angels sing. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Friends, if you want to see your church revitalized, engage in both aspects of the story. As I said and quoted Paul Harvey, that is the rest of the story. In the modern contemporary church, there is a provision, there is no provision rather, for the message of warfare, which means we must stand for something as well as against something. The story is not complete unless we get a glimpse of the total picture. That's my message to you, and my prayer that you'll catch a glimpse of the revitalization that can take place in your church. Pray for me. God bless each one, and may God bless America.